It's finally finished. My masterpiece. I've created a beautiful monster, an Omnic body worthy of its namesake, God Program. Chernobog will be my greatest creation yet. I've implemented him with similar augments, with the blueprints of Reaper and Sigma helping greatly. This may even prove a great testing ground for my own augments. Yes, splendid. A new area of knowledge to unlock for my ever-expanding research.
You must know by now. Not even the likes of you will be able to contain him for long. His functions eclipse even those of my own. He will find a way out of this prison you made for him, and you will not like what he does once he gets out.
Don't you have a casino to run back to? It is not in your nature to stick around this long. Perhaps I've been too lenient with you.
That's not what I meant. I was merely just...
Silence. Fear is but a shackle, held onto by those that do not wish to proceed with what must be done. Those at Overwatch reek of it. I am fully aware of Chernobog's capabilities. After all, I was one of the ones that built him.
Welcome to the hero reveal of Chernobog, the powerful AI god program that commands global security. Chernobog has 275 health and he is a damage hero. Chernobog's passive ability is called Global Security. Chernobog moves 10% faster when there are targets marked with his nanospheres in play. But more on that later. Chernobog's left click and basic attack is called Nano Sphere. Chernobog starts with a total of 6 nanospheres in his arsenal that will float beside him, with 3 on each side. When Chernobog attacks, he will summon a sphere from his side and launch it forward at a target enemy. The nanospheres are capable of bouncing off of walls or objects up to 2 times before they will explode in a burst of shadowy nanoparticles. Otherwise, they will explode directly when they hit an enemy target, or at a max range each sphere can travel, which is 30 meters. I haven't worked out an exact damage amount for each sphere yet, as I didn't wish to make it too powerful. So far, I'm going to go with each sphere dealing a total of 40 splash damage to any nearby enemies caught within the sphere's explosion, and on a direct hit, they will deal 70 damage. Chernobog can launch his spheres in a slightly slower speed than Jezjhart's basic attacks, but I'd say in speed comparison, it is more similar to Venture's basic attacks. If any of you managed to play the Venture playtest early, Chernobog, like mentioned before, has a total of 6 ammo, and however many orbs he has floating around him will also indicate his total ammo charges to any nearby, to where this could act as a benefit for allies to know when he needs shielding or heals. In other cases, it could be a nerf to where enemies will know exactly how much ammunition Chernobog has remaining, and can plan their attacks accordingly. Reload time for nanospheres is 1.25 seconds. Chernobog's right-click ability is called Marked Sphere. By using the right-click button, Chernobog will be able to launch out one of his nanospheres, temporarily reducing his total ammo count by 1 as it launches in a direct line, reaching a max range of up to 40 meters. If an enemy happens to be hit, they will be marked and the nanosphere will proceed to attach itself to them, floating around them in orbit like they do Chernobog. Spheres will mark enemy targets, making them visible to Chernobog and his team, and will remain on them until the enemy leaves Chernobog's line of sight, or the spheres themselves are destroyed, having 50 health each. If destroyed, nanospheres will dissolve and return to Chernobog, refilling his total ammunition count. If any enemy leaves Chernobog's line of sight, the marks will naturally dissolve after 3 seconds. Though, for those remaining 3 seconds, Chernobog and his team still retain vision of the marked targets, no matter where they are. If the marked sphere does not hit any enemies along its trajectory, it will instantly dissolve once it hits a wall or object, or the maxed travel distance is traveled, and it will return again to Chernobog's arsenal. As a nerf, the spheres can be destroyed by enemy attacks while they are traveling and attached. They can also be hacked by an enemy Sombra, to where the spheres will again dissolve and return back to Chernobog. Though a player marked directly with the sphere won't be able to destroy the sphere themselves once they have been marked, only their allies are capable of doing this. Visually, targets inflicted with the marked sphere gain a purpley shadow-like aura that Chernobog can perceive through walls and within his line of sight at great ease, to outline his marked targets more effectively for him and his team. Marked spheres cannot be stacked on a single target, but Chernobog can mark multiple targets with his marked spheres as many times as he wants, though this will in turn reduce his available ammunition by 1 for each sphere he uses. Cooldown for marked sphere is 6 seconds. Chernobog's E ability is called Behind You. Upon activation, Chernobog targets an enemy within his line of sight and is able to teleport directly behind them, though there is a slight delay of 2 seconds as Chernobog dissolves into his own shadow and then appears behind the target, coming up from that shadow but behind the target. This will also trigger an audio cue warning that the nearby enemy players will hear as he reforms behind them. If an enemy is afflicted with a marked sphere, Chernobog will be able to appear behind the enemy target instantly, and he will also make no noise trigger while doing so, being able to catch the enemy completely by surprise. This will also instantly remove the marked sphere from the enemy target when used and return it back to Chernobog's arsenal. Cooldown for Behind You is 8 seconds. Chernobog's left shift ability is called Security Sphere. By pushing left shift, Chernobog will use up one of his Nano Spheres, reducing his total ammo count by 1 and quickly enshrouding himself in a protective black sphere that resembles his Nano Spheres, but obviously bigger to be able to fit Chernobog inside. Chernobog, while inside his sphere, will be healed by 55 health each second for the next 5 seconds, or unless cancelled early by pushing the left shift button again. Chernobog cannot attack or use any other abilities while he is inside the sphere, though he becomes immune to damage and abilities, much like May's Cryo Freeze ability. If a marked target tries to attack the security sphere, their marked sphere will instantly explode and deal 70 damage to them and 40 splash damage to any nearby enemies, and the sphere will again return the ammo to Chernobog. Cooldown for Security Sphere is 8 seconds, and while Chernobog has no active ammunition, this ability will be blacked out until he recharges again. Chernobog's ultimate ability is called Prison Spheres. Upon activation, Chernobog will target a large area, covering 12 meters, and will be able to summon as many spheres as he has ammunition available to the target area. Though unlike his other abilities, this will not consume his ammo count, it will only modulate how many spheres will be summoned based on how many he has available. If any enemies come into contact with the spheres once they are summoned to the area, they will instantly be consumed, and each sphere will trap and float an enemy target off the ground in the sphere, damaging them with tick damage for the next 7 seconds, or while they remain inside the prison sphere. Each sphere can only consume one enemy. While trapped inside a sphere, enemies will take constant tick damage, though I've yet to work out an exact figure as I didn't wish to make it too powerful, seeing as it also has a stasis-like bubble effect as well as the tick damage inside. Each prison sphere has health and can be destroyed from the inside or outside by enemy allies or those inside the sphere. Each prison sphere has 100% base health of the target they are entrapping, and depending on the size of the enemy, the spheres will vary in size to fit the enemy visually. For example, a larger prison sphere will show for a Reinhardt that is consumed, and will be much harder to break due to Reinhardt's massive pool of health, as opposed to a smaller sphere fitting a smaller target with less health. This will also allow players an easier time at destroying the spheres due to each character having different damage outputs and pools of health, which I felt was a more balanced option to help balance the ability. Like mentioned, prison spheres last for a total of 7 seconds. This will also allow players an easier time at destroying the spheres due to each character having different damage outputs and pools of health, and utilizing this ability with say a Roadhog tank where he can hook enemy players, or a Lucio on your team as a friendly ally can boop players into the spheres. I think the teamwork with this particular ability would work really well. As always, Chernobog will need some tweaks before he'll be able to work in game, but I believe another bouncing orb user like Sigma that is capable of trapping enemies and teleporting would be a whole lot of fun. Thank you for watching the hero reveal of Chernobog, the powerful AI god program that commands global security.